Mission Log Live is brought to you by Eagle Moss, Hero Collector, and their collection of exclusive Star Trek visual reference books and other great titles and gifts waiting for you at herocollector.com/books. Use promo code MISSION10 at checkout for 10% off all books and graphic novels. Right now, in a parallel universe, someone is getting stabbed because they looked at someone kind of funny. It's much better to be here at 7 p.m. on the West Coast, and that means it's time for Mission Log Live. I'm John Champion.
I'm Holly Amos. Terra Firma, more like Terror Firma, am I right? Part 1 tonight with your comments and questions as we return to the mirror universe through a mysterious doorway watched over by a mysterious man reading a mysterious newspaper while he sits in an Adirondack chair. Was it an Adirondack chair?
It was an Adirondack chair, yeah.
I mean, the only mystery there is if it's one of those cheap ones from Home Depot or one of those expensive handmade ones.
They only needed it for the shoot, so I'm just going to say they rented a cheap one. Maybe. I don't know, maybe. But those mysteries and so much more will be discussed when you call us. You know what to do. You click on the Zoom meeting link, or you use the one tap from your smartphone, or you call us at 669-900-6833. In any case, make sure you enter the meeting code and the password. Then we'll all be talking about Discovery together. How you doing tonight, Holly?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Are you sitting in an Adirondack chair, by the way?
No, I'm sitting on my couch.
Okay, very good. I'm also not in an Adirondack chair. I just thought that was a great choice for Carl. There are many.
You know what? I was paying such close attention to the newspaper.
Did you do the whole like freeze frame and check out every little?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely be talking about that tonight, that and many, many more details. But first, let's say hello to everybody who's joining us on Facebook right now. There's Barry. He says, very excited to watch tonight unfold. Yes, indeed. There's Evelyn, there's Rhonda, there's Sam, there's Barry again, just jumping in there twice early on. There's Carlos, there's Scott Palm. How are you? There is Sam, all caps with an exclamation. Good evening, John and Holly, coming to you from my bed in the UK where it's 3 a.m.
Oh my God. Can I ask a question? Can I ask him a question?
Yeah.
Do you stay up that late? Or do you like set an alarm and be like, oh, it's time for Mission Log Live?
Look, if it's 3 a.m. for me, that means I'm coming at it from the previous night. I'm not setting an alarm for 3 a.m. But Sam, thank you for joining us. Let us know. Holly wants to know what the deal is here. There's Chris with the exclamations. John, Holly, Earl in all caps. Great to see you. There's Dominic. There is Brian. There's Rick. You should say greetings and salutations, or should I say Terra Firma? Yes, you just said Terra Firma. And there's Paul. There's other Paul. There's Kim. There's other Paul. Wow. All right, 3 of them right off the bat. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's right.
We can actually do a show now. There's John Arminio. There's Brian. Oh, Brian writing everything backwards because mirror universe.
We're in the mirror universe.
Yeah, nice. Very clever. I like that. And there's Alan, there's David. So great. So glad to see all of you. I look forward to tonight's conversation about what's happening in the mirror universe. Yeah. Oh, wait. And Paul says Carl with a C or Carl with a Q. Maybe we'll discuss that when we get to our poll question. But before we get to that, just very quickly, a little update on what's coming up. So next week, Norman is back with Holly. And I guess the only logical thing is to talk about Terra Firma Part 2.
I mean, that's, the first episode of the season was Part 1, and there is no Part 2 yet.
Yeah, how nice of them to actually give us a Part 1 and a Part 2 back to back.
And like it's a Part 1 and no Part 2. And there's a Part 3 of something else.
That was nearly 30 years old. I love it. All right. And then this Thursday on Mission Log, Children of Time. Make sure you tune in for that. Just closing in so close to the end of season 5 of DS9. So that will come out Thursday at 12 a.m. Pacific. And hey, before we get to Terra Firma Part 1, Holly, you can catch us all up on the poll question from last week, from this week. What do we got?
So last week we asked what Saru's signature order should be. We got 297 votes. 9% of people say it should be hit it. 37% say execute. 10% say manifest. Manifest getting more than hit it is surprising to me, but also like hit it was already used. So like
Hit
I get
it, yeah. And Saru knows that that's already taken. I mean, come on. Yeah.
And then Carry On got 44%. So I mean, Carry On won, and we still don't know. He didn't say anything in this episode. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that those poll questions, you're limited to space, because what I put in one vote, one write-in vote. I'm going to put in another write-in, and that'll just be double finger guns and Saru going pew pew pew, right? So he gives an order, and then it just goes pew 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 like that.
Okay.
I think that would be a great one. I think it would be perfect for him.
Then that can be yours when you are the captain of a starship.
But I'm giving it to Saru just in case he's stuck and he needs one. Then
okay.
Yeah. All right. So
this week we're asking, what is Carl? We have 102 votes. I mean, last time I looked, had 102 votes. 23% of you think that he's a Q. 34% thinks that he's the guardian of forever. That's what I tend to think. 3% of you think that he's a Bajoran prophet. And 40% of you think he's some alien named Carl.
Well, he could just some
he
other
could be.
As yet unmet, unknown alien, and he happens to be named Carl. And they could pull a Q, and they could just say that he's from the Carl continuum, and they're all named Carl. It could
That's an awful name.
I think it's a great name.
Why would you like no offense to Carl's, but like omnipotent, like a whole like why Carl? Like why would you anyways? Okay.
Why not? Chris Riker says Carl is a Time Lord American edition. So that could be it.
Is that a Doctor Who reference that I don't understand?
You don't, I mean, come on, Doctor Who's a Time Lord. You don't know at least that?
Yes, I did. That's why I said I don't understand the context, but I understand that it was a reference.
Okay. All right. And by the way, we did get a reply here, answer to Holly from Sam. He says, I unfortunately don't often manage to catch you live. Been asleep, woke just at the right time. So
did you set an alarm, or did you just naturally wake up like, it's
we need to know. We need to know, Sam. So you'll have time while I'm doing the recap to
He's been here before, though. He's been here before. That's why I asked. I don't often catch you guys live.
Thing like, Tuesdays at 3 a.m. He's just, it's time for Mission Log Live. I guess I should just wake up and watch. So thank you for joining us. Paul 1 says poor Holly needs some Doctor Who.
You guys, Doctor Who is older than Star Trek, and I'm a completionist. And if I start watching it, the last time I became obsessed with a franchise, I ended up working for them. Like.
So
it'll take over my life. I can't.
Again, so?
No.
All right. Well, now is your opportunity, everybody, to give us a call, whether it's 3 a.m. where you are or a more reasonable hour where you are. Give us a call. Click on the Zoom meeting link. I'm going to read the recap for Terra Firma Part 1, and then we will be back to answer questions, to discuss your comments. I can't wait to hear what people have to say about this episode. So if you'll indulge me, here we go. Terra Firma Part 1. What this show needs is some good old exposition, and we have just the man to do it, David Cronenberg. Emperor Giorgio is sick because traveling in time and across universes will do that to you, just like it did to poor Commander Yor, who suffered until doctors were allowed to have him euthanized. It's just going to get worse with Giorgio as her body fights her new reality. David Cronenberg says to let her die, while Culber uses Discovery's very advanced computer to find an alternate solution. The plan is to take her to the very distant Danis 5, as the computer suggests, where she has a 5% chance of survival. Admiral Vance says to do it, even though the Emerald Chain is heating things up elsewhere. Meanwhile, Giorgio is suffering, and that's making her act out against everyone in sight in the time-honored ways of threatening Burnham with a sword and threatening Tilly with soup. Arriving at Danis 5, there are awkward and maybe heartfelt goodbyes before Giorgio and Burnham beam down into nothing, just a bunch of snow and nothing else. In the downtime, perfect opportunity for Adira and Stamets to keep working. They're onto something when they put pieces together about that distress call. It was a Kelpian ship And this definitely grabs Saru's attention. The message is more than 100 years old from right before the burn, and that ship was on a mission near what amounts to a dilithium nursery. After getting stuck, they awaited rescue from another ship. Now Discovery will have to find out what happened. Down on Danis 5, we're walking and talking and more walking. Finally, they happen across a very odd sight in the middle of all this nothing, a door, a chair, and a guy named Coral. Sorry, wrong franchise. This is just a kindly man named Carl. He's there to completely avoid and obfuscate any and all questions Burnham and Giorgio have. Like, why is there a door here? So she can go through? What's in there? Giorgio's condition is getting worse. With answers not forthcoming, she walks through the door right into the mirror universe. Hey, it's Emperor Giorgio and the whole gang again. Evil Oo, Captain Killy, Evil Detmer, Evil and Alive Burnham. Giorgio has arrived in her own universe on the very day that Lorca and Burnham had plotted to kill her and overthrow her reign. Also happens to be the day that the Terran flagship Charon was christened. So now the Emperor is acting a little strange, being forgiving of Kelpians, like this one who is definitely Saru, but not actually named Saru. Suspicious of Burnham, maybe being a little soft on those around her. So now, in the Terran tradition, the Emperor and all her minions will attend a Cirque du Soleil performance that's a recap of Giorgio's greatest hits. It's like the Beatles' Love, but this one is narrated by Mira Stamets, and there's no buffet. The show leads into the unveiling of the Charon, and as Giorgio goes to the stage to make a grand speech about threats to the Empire and fear of the future, Stamets sneaks ever so closely. He's got a knife pulled, ready to take out Giorgio, but not before she can empty out the blood from his jugular with her own blade. The audience is brought to a standing ovation, sure to rate the show highly on TripAdvisor. But Burnham exits the show first. Her quick jog through the corridors of the ISS Discovery is interrupted by Captain Killy and Giorgio. The Emperor knows what she's up to, that she's in on the plan with Lorca and the late Stamets. Burnham confesses that she conspired with Lorca, that she'd do it again, and now she awaits execution by Giorgio's sword. The Emperor swings her blade, but she stops short of causing any real damage, as she says to Burnham that she knows how that story ends. Now the future is unwritten. Off Burnham is taken to the agonizer. The end. Any immediate thoughts or feelings, Holly?
I never read those before,
Yeah.
just because I want to be surprised in the TripAdvisor, and it's funny.
We got to make it relevant. We got to keep it relevant, of course. So Toby, just kind of your gut feelings on this episode. Obviously, we're only halfway into this mini story arc here, but your immediate feelings about what happened in this week's show.
Well, here's the thing. I really enjoy the Mirror Universe. My favorite episode of TOS is the Tholian Web. We're spending a lot of time there, though. Yeah.
I have feelings about that. And definitely going to come back to it because maybe unlike you, I don't like the
You don't like the Mirror Universe? You know what? I don't even think that I like the Tholian Web because it's a Mirror Universe episode. I think I like it just because it's really weird.
Mm-hmm. But do you think of that as a Mirror Universe episode because of the tie-in with Enterprise? Or because I just thought of it as like, oh, here's a weird, Kirk's phasing in and out, but really we don't get a taste of the Mirror Universe there.
It's weird, so it's not. It's not full on like mirror. In a mirror darkly, like those. I'm like, I could take or leave those. Like,
and I feel like in this episode they almost made a joke out of it where Culber is there with David Cronenberg and he's just saying like, it's the Prime Universe. He actually says we're in the Prime Universe. Then there's the Mirror Universe. Yeah. Even though with the multiverse theory there would just be umpteen millions of them, just an infinite amount of them. But it's like no, there's just the one. But then they actually call out the Kelvin universe. They don't call it Kelvin.
They don't call it Kelvin, obviously, but
right,
a temporal incursion from a Romulan mining ship. That is obviously the Narada.
Thought that was so cool.
I did too. I like that they're making connections to the Kelvin universe so often without outright saying that I like the Kelvin universe. I know a lot of people don't. I really enjoy the J.J. Abrams films. I think they're fun. So yeah, I'm really glad that's all tying in. I mean, of course, Picard tied into it too, which I appreciated. But yeah, it's a nice. Here's the thing about those references is that a casual fan that might not be so diehard is to be like, oh, I got that. Like it doesn't. It's still not going to be like lost on them. The storyline itself.
Right.
You know, these references might go over people's heads who are not as crazy as me, but they're not gonna lose any of the storyline, which is great.
See, that's how I like my references, though. I mean, I like a reference where it's just a line that says, "Hey, this thing happened," and then but we're carrying on with our story.
Yeah,
and we don't have to stop. We don't have to give a ton of information about Commander Yor. We don't have to give a ton of information. We don't have to like name check everything and say like, yeah, that was that Romulan incursion when the Narada came back and blew up the Kelvin and killed George Kirk. It's like, you know, a poorly written scene would be that. But in this case, we just have, again, in his dry brilliance, David Cronenberg just going like, yeah, it was an incursion and this happened. And yeah, here we go. So that's all I want out of it. Yeah.
He's great. I was reading an interview that he did and he was like, I think they'll keep me, you know, even until like next season because I'm local and I'm cheap. And I was like, that's not untrue. Like he's from Toronto. So
right.
Oh, yeah. So I hope we see more of his character. Also last week we were talking about the preview of this week's episode and I was asked if I knew what Yor was. And I was like, I was actually just paying really close attention to his uniform and he's the Betelgeuse. So
okay, did we, is the only other time that we've seen them on screen was at TMP? Isn't there one in the rec room scene?
Yeah. And there's, I mean, they've already been in Discovery though. Like we've seen.
Of course.
Right. But before that, them and then Linus's people, like we've only.
He's Saurian.
Yes, those are both from the motion picture. So we don't really, and like there's one picture of a Saurian from the motion picture, like head on, and that's really all. Yeah. And then they're in that big sequence, and it's all blurry, and you can't see very many people.
Look, if we make it through the entire run of Discovery with so much, and I love Linus so much. I think he's awesome. But if we do not have a reference to like his family making brandy or something, I will be very upset. Again, you don't have to hit me over the head with it. I just want some connection. I just want to know that he likes brandy or, you know, that's all I need.
Okay, well, you know, they're making pretty good references, so maybe we'll get that.
They are, maybe we will. Hey, let's go to our first caller. I believe it is Alan joining us all the way from the lower decks. Welcome to the show, Alan. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I have to say that in real life, my current situation here in Iowa is much more similar to, what was the planet again? Danis 5?
Yeah, just snow and nothing, and one guy in a bowler hat just sitting outside for no reason.
Is it really? Is it snowing there?
This weekend, yes. Yeah, it was cold and snowy and very depressing. And all I can say is that I'm happy that I'm at a place with an HOA now. So,
guys, I don't like snow. I'm really glad that I grew up in Southern California. I don't.
Yeah, I don't miss it. When I came from Chicago, people said that I would miss seasons like that. I'm like, no, I don't think I will. I'm glad to know that it snows elsewhere. I could go see it if I needed to, but
I mean, that's what I've done. I've been in the snow twice in my life, both Big Bear, and I was like, I don't enjoy this.
Right.
It's cold. It's a lot. Like I remember my friends took me skiing once up in Big Bear, and I was like, this is too much work. Like the ratio of work to fun is off. Like it's this much work to have this much fun, and I'm not here for it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like eating a Dungeness crab. It's just
Oh, okay.
entirely too much work for that tiny little bit of payoff.
I saw
That's-
snow in Iceland though, and that was okay because
Okay,
it was
that was
Iceland.
right. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
By the way, Alan, somebody says they wanted to know if if there was a door and a Carl where you are. Paul asked that. I think if
have
you're
a
doing
door.
okay, good. Yeah, I mean, you should just go like
It's attached to
remove-
my condo, but yes, I have a door.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's more easily removable, then I would just say go put it
Yeah.
in the snow. Do us all
And
a favor there. But, yeah.
I want to say I have a bowler hat somewhere and an Uncle Carl, but they're not connected.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, what is on your mind about this week's episode?
Well, I have a feeling that we're going to get into deep conversations about, Giorgio's character arc and everything going on in the Mirror Universe. But I got to tell you, I want to talk about that dedication ceremony because that was pretty crazy.
That's that's one of those weird things where I saw it happening and I was like, well, this is a show that takes place a few hundred years in the future and in an alternate universe. Do they should I expect them to have the same or totally different acrobatic tricks than we do now?
Yeah.
or maybe it's just the classics are hard to kill.
I mean, who doesn't love a good aerialist? But,
right.
And, in the recap, calling it out to Cirque du Soleil was spot on. That's entirely what I thought about. And honestly, my dearest hope now is that Vol willing, somehow we get Star Trek The Experience back because now we have a show.
Now you've got exactly. You're exactly right. Although here's a very important question: in the Mirror Universe, are performing artists basically under the same sort of expectations that the military is too? So, do you have to kill the dance captain in order to get a better role, to have your name move up in the credits at all? Is that?
Oh my God, that's dark.
It really
it's the Mirror Universe.
It gives Break a Leg a whole different connotation.
It's like Showgirls, just all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Given what we know about how everyone else in the Mirror Universe is portrayed, Showgirls is definitely on point.
Yes.
That has to be how it is. And just, and I even liked the audience reaction because it was kind of like this mix of we've got to be here. We're not really interested, to sort of polite applause and, just absolutely perfect for how that was received. I love the poetry, all of it.
I like the idea that at least in the Mirror Universe, which is very much a monoculture where it's just military, just killing each other all the time. Now we have a bit of diversity. We have people who are artists in the Mirror Universe as well. By the way, Carlos in the chat is calling for a Mirror Universe, all that jazz, where I guess Roy Scheider is just he only eats health food and he lives. I guess that's how that works in that one.
Sure.
Yeah. And he also says, or Chris Riker says, showbiz backstabbing, not a euphemism.
It's not. I did musical theater for 15 years, and I remember I was in a show in my senior year of high school. It was the first professional show I was in, and a girl hurt her ankle, and I had to replace her at last minute. And I remember her telling people that I was a horrible person that had taken her part. And I was like, I wasn't even there. You landed a leap wrong in one of the shows and twisted your ankle, and they just called me to replace you. How is that?
Oh, and everybody
I was so offended.
You've stuck with that story for how many years now?
I didn't go up on stage and I was not. I feel like I was not a backstabber when I did theater.
Oh no. I mean,
what else, Alan? What about this episode? Yeah.
Again, sort of dialing back a little bit to the discussion of references, I think I really liked the way that they introduced this character of Carl, who or whatever they are, because I think it very well could have been real easy for them to be like, some might know me as Gary or Carl 8.
Okay.
Or-
Yeah.
or like, perhaps you have heard of us, the Q can,
Yeah.
something
What
like
do you-
that.
I mean, there's still a level of mystery, but what do you think that because they're going strong to the hoop for Guardian.
I voted alien named Carl.
Oh, did you?
Just-
Okay.
Yeah,
he's his own thing, man.
He's his own thing. I will say that definitely the bowler choice is a very strong look for a mysterious alien. It's got good Mixel-Pitlick's energy to it. And,
Yeah.
Can
just
we-
sort of like Space Imp.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the references on the newspaper?
I didn't get a good look at the newspaper, so clue me in.
Okay,
Oh,
so
take it away,
the
Holly. This is so
newspaper.
good.
Oh, okay. I'm like that meme of connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carl's newspaper is an edition of the Star Dispatch, which we actually see in the city on the edge of forever. The Star Dispatch is actually a generic fictional newspaper that was seen like carrying headlines and stuff in a whole bunch of different stuff in the 40s and 50s. So it also appeared, I had to write it down, in All the King's Men in 1949 and Batman and Robin in 1949 and in Bewitched, which
Wow.
that's freaking cool.
Hey,
Okay,
very cool.
so it contains, the newspaper that he's holding contains references to the Khan supernova, which is from TNG's The Last Outpost, the disappearance of a ship that was in TNG's relics, the Janolan, 21st Street Mission, which is obviously the City on the Edge of Forever,
Native
Worf
heroes,
winning the Batleth competition, which is from Parallels,
nice.
and the quotes, "Let me help," City on the Edge of Forever. And then there's something that says "good soup," and that's from Enterprise's Strange New Worlds. And then there's Vulcan script, there's Bajoran script, and then the newspaper is dated 3188, which is when Burnham arrives in the future.
Mind blown. That is so cool. I love.
Did I sway you to think that it's the Guardian now? Because if it's not the Guardian, then they're doing this on purpose to make us think that it's the Guardian.
That is some good sleuthing. If I had my bowler hat with me, I would tip my hat to you, because that is some good stuff.
Now, it's interesting. Sam in the chat says Carl's mannerisms and choice of words was so John Delancey's cue. That was not a coincidence. So we got people fighting back here. But Paul says, I know I'd seen the Star Dispatch before. So that's very good. Sort of like having a 555 number in.
That's
in a
exactly
movie.
what it's
the Star
like.
Dispatch is that one. Yeah. That's so cool. Hey, Alan, we got a few more callers lined up. So if you've got a parting thought for us, we'll hear that from you, and then we'll go to our next caller.
Just that I think I'm kind of in the middle of you guys in terms of the Mirror Universe. I was not expecting to enjoy coming back to it so soon after season 1, and I'm recently caught up on Discovery, so it's not been 3 years for me. It's been just maybe 5 or 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I first signed up, I just started binging. But I think this was good. I think it was earned. It's a little goofy, but it always is with the Mirror. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it wraps up.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for calling in tonight, Alan. We will see you again soon.
No problem.
All right, take care.
Bye.
And next up, we have Dave Taylor, who is standing by. Dave, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, welcome. Wait a minute. Do you have a Will Ferrell elf shirt on?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Very nice. That's awesome.
I'm usually at work when this is on, so this is a first for me to be able to call in.
Sweet.
Hi.
Well, welcome. Very awesome of you to join us. Well, what did you think of this week's episode, and what thoughts do you have for us?
So much going on in this season. I just don't know that we need a 2-episode detour into the Mirror Universe.
Do you?
Maybe they'll pull around and pull it into the season, but it just seems like, what are we doing over here?
Well, also keep in mind that we know that Giorgio is supposed to be in the Section 31 spinoff, and this could absolutely be a setup for that.
Very true.
Hmm.
I just the whole time I mean I love when they get to play around. It just seems like to me it's just like why?
I think it's just because they're setting it up, but I mean I get it. It's sort of out of left field, right?
I mean I love, back when they had 26 episodes, these were great. But when they have such a short, seasons like they do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just me.
So, no, it's not just you. I get it. I mean, 13 episodes, and we're spending now the majority of 2 of them in the mirror universe, and
so close
I feel,
to the end as well.
Yeah.
So close.
And I get that there are loose ends that need to be tied up, and what are we doing with Giorgio, and what is her arc going to be? But I'm like you. I just don't need that much time in the mirror universe. To me, it's like an Olive Garden. Like I know that it exists. I've been there. I don't need to go back, and I certainly don't need to know all the inner workings of how it comes together.
Oh my God.
It's only utility for me is as a comparison to other things that are better.
The Olive Garden is so offended right now.
That's
but don't you know your
they can come at
there?
me. What's that?
Don't you know your family there? Come on.
No, not my family. They can come after me, man. Olive Garden can come right after me. That's fine. It just seems like we're spending an inordinate amount of time there, and it doesn't really serve. Yes, they have their own politics. They have their own drama. They have their clearly, very violent method of doing things. But, go back to TOS, go back to Mirror Mirror. It was just there as this moment to serve a story for our main characters and just present a contrast and leave us this little hopeful message like, oh, wait, if there's this one good element, this one good person in there, Spock potentially, can actually change things, turn things around, fine. Then I'm good. I'm good to go back to our universe with our Kirk and see things play out there. Don't need to go back. It's okay. Because pretty much what we learn about the mirror universe is that people kill each other constantly, which may also be true backstage at an Olive Garden. I don't know. I don't know that it doesn't happen there. So
backstage?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Back of house. Right. Back of house. Yeah. So but yeah, so Dave, I'm there with you. I'm just not a big Mirror Universe fan, but I'm hoping that this 2-episode arc serves a purpose, puts some finality on this, and then we can actually move on. Because the finality we would have gotten in season 1 didn't happen because we got to keep Empress Giorgio.
I mean, a lot of people are super excited about Lorca potentially coming back, though, and I can't say I disagree with them.
Yeah, I do love Lorca.
They do say that it's getting further apart, so maybe this is the last time. Maybe, and hopefully the writers have tied it in. That's just my hope, is something big happens there and they cross over and something actually impacts this season rather than just, ooh, that was fun. These guys are crazy. Let's kill everybody. Right.
But do you think, and this maybe speaks to a bigger issue, like, is this a thing with Star Trek, though, where you have the dual problem of, like, you have to write shows that attract an audience. You also have to write shows and stories that tie into the expectation of fans. And I feel like there's a real danger there where you bring in a writer or maybe a writer who is or was a fan, and they go, ooh, there's this one specific thing about the Star Trek universe that I just want to dive into and spend all my time there. I don't know if that necessarily makes for the best storytelling. It can, maybe, but of all the corners of the Star Trek universe to explore, if somebody handed me the keys of the kingdom, I don't think I would pick the mirror universe as being that thing, you know?
That's where you have to have a good showrunner to keep you focused throughout a season. Because otherwise, you do get sidetracked.
Right.
Being into those fan corners. I mean, not to bring up the other star, but Star Wars tended to get all confused with, like, that last movie that we had is just pure, this is what the fans want. We're going to give it to them. Let's get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is a fine line between fan service and I appreciate references, but if there's too much fan service, like it takes me out of the show too. So, and that's coming from somebody who is hardcore on the deep cuts.
Yeah, or you know what? Maybe it's because I don't know specifically who came up with this plot line or who decided to revisit this, but it could even be the other thing, which is maybe a cursory understanding of Star Trek, and you go, okay, what are the iconic things? Okay, well, the iconic things are the Borg. Well, we've done the Borg a lot, so we're not going to do that again. One of the iconic things is the mirror universe. Everybody remembers the mirror universe. Therefore, we will squeeze that in here too, because in our understanding of Star Trek, that is a standout iconic thing. It's not Star Trek unless we put that in there.
I still tend to think that this is a setup for Section 31, in which case it would have been Bowie and Erica making the decision as to how it happens, because they're the creators of Section 31 and they're the ones that are writing it. I could be wrong. Maybe this isn't a setup. Maybe they really did just want to go back into the mirror universe for funsies. But I tend to think that anything that was going to be Georgiou this season was going to be a setup for 31.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Do we need the Borg in the mirror universe? Would that make you happy?
No.
Would the Borg be really nice? Would they be really nice?
They would teach us how to be nice.
Yeah.
They would teach us individuality.
Right.
That's what the Borg would do in the mirror universe. Like all of these like Terra Firma, like adhering to this like strict, we would be taught individuality by the Borg. That's what mirror Borg. Somebody write that.
Oh my God.
There you go, John. Get on it.
I love it. I love it. Dave, we got a couple more callers standing by. Any other thoughts tonight before we say goodnight to you?
All good.
Okay, excellent. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. Pleasure to see you, and do it again. Don't make yourself a stranger, okay?
If my boss will let me.
All right, appreciate it. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Hey, we will get to those next callers here. And we got Casey, we got Dom, we got John standing by. But really quickly, before we get into that, we do have a little bit of business to take care of from our friends over at Eagle Moss Hero Collector and the Star Trek Bookshop. Now, while Mission Log listeners are undoubtedly familiar with the various collections of model starships, see those behind me, gleaned from every corner of the Star Trek universe by Eagle Moss Hero Collector, you may not be as familiar with the wide and ever-expanding variety of officially authorized special edition books published by Eagle Moss and available online at the Eagle Moss shop.
Fans who pay a visit to the exclusive Star Trek bookshop at herocollector.com/books will discover a range of definitive visual guides that go as deep into Star Trek history and canon as any books ever published, each extensively researched and developed by Eagle Moss Hero Collector under the supervision of Star Trek expert Ben Robinson. Books from the Star Trek Shipyard series present a timeline of almost every ship that has ever appeared in the Star Trek TV shows and movies. From the original series forward to Discovery, backwards to Enterprise, some of these volumes are dedicated exclusively to Starfleet ships, while others focus on ships from other members of the Federation, including the Vulcans, the Andorians, Tellarites, and the Bajorans. Books in the Designing Starship series boldly go where few have gone before, deep behind the scenes into the conception, development, and detail of ships from every era. There are even volumes from the comprehensive official Star Trek graphic novel collection.
Hey, by the way, really quickly in the chat, just to jump into this, Sam says for the Borg, the Mirror Borg resistance is optional. And then Chris says that Mirror Borg operate in Olive Garden. So while you're contemplating that, I will show you very quickly. I love this, that Eagle Moss sent the Star Trek Voyager book, and boom, right here for you, Holly. This is the Astrometrics Lab chapter. Yeah, right? Because that was a very cool set. And they show the placement of those weird triangular stools, you know, those little chairs that just look very uncomfortable.
All the chairs in the future look uncomfortable.
They do, yeah, which is why Riker sits on them. So weird. This tells you how it all works. So just one of the many things to be learned from the official Eagle Moss book, Star Trek Voyager book. So there is literally something for every Star Trek fan of every generation. Plus, especially for friends of Mission Log Live, use the code MISSION10 at checkout to get 10% off all books and graphic novels. To browse around the shop, visit herocollector.com/books and use the promo code MISSION10 at checkout for your 10% discount. All right, so waiting patiently, we have Casey floating above. Are you above Earth?
That's
Let's
Earth.
See, where are you? Okay,
But
wait.
you can see Italy.
He's tiny.
It's actually mirror Earth. It's
there you go.
It's just flipped around.
Are you?
No, I thought I'd do a little.
You know who you look like? You look like
Q
Nagilum.
from the first episode. Oh no!
No, you look like Nagilum from Where Silence Has Leaves.
Okay,
Nice.
rude. That's all I have to say. Holly.
Just paint your face silver.
I'll have to be like,
I love
oh.
it. That's awesome.
By the way, if you want to know what the Borg look like in the mirror universe, I don't know if you guys can see this image, but
oh God, wait.
Captain EO.
Captain EO, yes.
Yeah. So all they need is love and dancing.
Yeah.
And
oh my God.
And
that's
I guess,
first of all, that's all any of us need, really.
It's true.
But yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I got a little cosmic here with you guys because that's the most honestly, this is the most exciting part of the season so far is Carl. I don't know if he's an Organian. I don't know if he's a Q. I kind of am hoping he's not a Q just because I don't know. There's lots of like really powerful evolved races out there.
I feel like we've done. It was like the mirror universe. I feel like
and the door thing is kind of like very
Q,
Iconian, like
yeah, Iconian.
Yeah. So, the mirror universe. I wasn't expecting that, and they're like, oh, okay, she's going to the mirror universe and she's staying there the whole rest of. Okay, it's a wonderful life, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. So I don't know where they're going with that. I don't know if they're going for like they're going to make her like a quantum leap, kind of bouncing through time and dimension.
Oh,
that would be an interesting thing.
Okay.
And then we could bring back Scott Bakula.
I know.
Right.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If Lorca comes back, then with Lorca and Gray, we'll have like a weird like crossover with the OA. If you've seen that one, that'd be cool. But no, I'm stoked because I was just thinking to myself, it's been so long since in Star Trek we've seen something just kind of kooky and out there and like way above the pay grade of our heroes. That's not just like a big world-eating cloud or something.
Right. Right.
And so with like the Metrons or the Organians, like that was a big part of the original series. And I'm like, why don't we see that anymore? And then Carl showed up. And I'm like, yes, something spooky's going on, and I love it.
It's nice on a show that obviously has a big budget, obviously has a lot of production value, that it is throwing a lot at you every week. It's so nice when it just slows down and lets the weirdness kind of settle for a moment,
Yeah, I love it. Although, speaking of weird, the whole the whole thing about the Lieutenant Commander Yor.
Yes.
It's kind of weird because it's like, okay, he's from the year 2379, which is like Star Trek Nemesis, but it's in the Kelvin universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's explicitly a time soldier. So he just, I guess he was on a mission to our universe in the season 1 era of Next Gen, and he made a wrong turn at Albuquerque or something.
Yeah.
Like he ended up like, this is not where I wanted to be, and I'm dying a painful, horrible death.
Right.
So,
yes.
It was weird. It was weird.
I actually found that storyline, and it's not even really a storyline. It was just
it's like a snippet, like a small thing.
To support the Georgiou storyline. But that and what's going on in the nebula is what I'm about.
And like what's up with like the little mark on the head? Because I felt like that was a little red herring to have Tilly be like, oh, it's radiation poisoning. And Saru just kind of blew her off. He's like, yeah, sure, radiation.
Well,
poisoning.
I mean, he's really distracted by the facts that they're Kelpians, right? Because at the end, he's like, oh my God, they're Kelpian. Like he's just. I found out something about the Verubin Nebula that I don't think anybody else knows. So I'm going to put this fact out to the world.
Oh, share it, please. Yes.
So a lot of you who like follow me on Twitter and stuff and have been watching the show know that one of my best friends is the NASA Mohawk guy, Babak Ferdowsi. He works at the Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena here in California. he is a really big fan of Vera Rubin, who was an astronomer. She passed away in 2016. So he's watching this episode, or actually he was watching Sanctuary, and then it obviously is in this episode too. But he texts me and he says, "Is the nebula named after Vera Rubin?" And I was like, "It's likely." So
she's responsible for our idea of dark matter, right? Because she's
responsible for a lot of stuff. Yeah, she was pretty groundbreaking. Cool. So I actually know the writer of the Sanctuary. His name's Brandon Schultz. I interacted with him when I worked at CBS, and I messaged him on Facebook and was like, "Hey, is it named after her?" And he messaged me back and verified that yes, it is named after her. It was a suggestion of the show's science advisors, and he found a way to work it in for the Sanctuary, and that's who the nebula is named after.
That's pretty rad.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's absolutely awesome. Yeah. I love it. By the way, similar to our conversation, Jim here in the chat says, "I would love Carl to be a Metron." See, I love stuff like that. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be a rad callback, because those guys never get any love, or like all this weird stuff happened.
Right.
You know.
Right.
If he does end up being the Guardian, I wonder, I mean, Harlan Ellison is gone, but if he ends up being Guardian of Forever, I'd kind of want to be like, what would Harlan have thought of that?
Yeah, who knows? But and is the Guardian a person, or just a physical, like a machine, or what? You know, we don't really know any depth about what that is.
No, because even in City on the Edge of Forever, it's like, it's not clear about what he's like. What did it say? Like, I am not man and not machine. Like, he just was very vague, which is also a thing that like Carl is doing. He's being super vague. He's just like, they're asking him questions and he's like giving them puns. Like, it's a cute portal. It's adorable. And I think that's, I was like, I actually laughed out loud, but like, he's also being like really vague about it.
Yeah.
Which the original Guardian, I think it's the Guardian, but I feel like that might be too obvious. Are they trying to trick me into thinking that's what it is?
I want him to be Lucian from the
you're damn right.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Friend Giorgio. That'd be amazing.
By the way, Chris says Harlan is gone, but he'll still sue. So you're probably not wrong. I love that. And Dave says Holly's knowledge knows no bounds, and you would be absolutely right, Dave.
I mean, that was actually not even, it didn't even occur to me. It was when Bobak texted me, I was like, oh, now I want to know. And I messaged Brandon.
Right. That's so cool.
Now everybody knows, like, now share the knowledge with the world.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, you want to, one last fact. They mentioned Kepler 174d.
Ooh, yes, they did.
That is a real exoplanet, and it is the first one that's ever mentioned in Star Trek.
Oh, right on. How cool.
Okay, that's the end of my facts for the evening.
Love it. Casey, any last thoughts here? Because we got a couple more callers.
Absolutely. When they're having the big goodbye to Giorgio scene where people are giving hugs and accolades to each other, did anyone else really want her to like just look at Saru and just say, you know, I'm really sorry I ate you, and I'm really sorry that I made Michael Burnham eat you as well.
Yes.
Getting the sorries out there.
Absolutely should have said that. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be in the novels. Don't worry. It was a missing scene. Yeah.
It's really twisted. All right. Have a great night, you guys.
Casey, thanks so much. Take care. Have a great one, okay? Bye.
Thanks, Nagilam.
And next up on the show, hey, it's Dominic, all the way from Stovercore. Welcome, Dominic. How are you?
Kapla!
Yes. How's it going? How are you?
It's going good.
Excellent. Oh, God, I love your background.
We're just gonna hang out on the shuttlecraft.
Yeah, I got my single malt.
Oh, nice! Wow, in a very vintage.
Wait, hold that. I want to see.
Yeah, we got to see that.
That is old as hell.
That was a gift from my son.
What? That's awesome.
That is so.
I just have my holiday Raktajino, which is not officially Star Trek, but I pretend like it is.
I love it.
Love it.
Yes. So what are you thinking, Dominic?
Well, I've been thrown for a loop. I love this episode. The Metrons, that really got me. thinking
Mhm.
about that it could be the Metrones. I just like that we're taking all these ideas. Wouldn't it be a little early for the Metrones though? Because they said a few thousand years, more than that.
Oh, is that? Yeah, that's right. That's right. They did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be too
Yeah.
early too.
Mhm.
They were so sassy and fabulous. They were just like, it's going to be a couple thousand years, so I don't think we're ready for that.
But did Discovery change that whole thing by the act of going forward in time? Are the Metrons going to change
hope.
their timeline too? I don't know.
We can hope. I like thinking
Yeah.
that it could be a Q, and then I thought of the guy in the Jeep. The guy in the Jeep.
The guy in the Jeep. Wait, who's the guy in the Jeep?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me the episode. It's the one with Sarah Silverman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the episode with JPL in it.
Ah, there you go. Right
yeah. Oh, Sarah Silverman.
on.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was. I love that episode. I can't wait for Mission Log to get to Voyager.
Well, so soon. We'll be there so soon. Not really soon. It's like a year.
I like
But
the
it'll
last
creep up on
episode
us.
too. I like
thank-
Soldier of Fortune a lot. It's just something about the Klingon episodes that it's like there's certain things that I like, certain things that I don't like, but it's a lot of fun. And when I first saw them going to the Mirror Universe, I was like, I think there's no such thing as bad Star Trek. There's just some's better than others. And when I first saw that Mirror Universe, I was kind of with you. I was like,
Yeah.
Look, everybody's talking about the LA episode. Guys, it's called Future's End.
Thank you.
But David says, we call it the LA episode.
The
just
LA
we call
episode, yeah.
Star Trek 4 is the one with the whales. That's, just how you refer to those things. Yeah.
She has Sarah Silverman has a Telosian in that episode. You can see it.
She does.
On her computer.
She also has a picture of the Botany Bay in her office.
That I didn't know. Okay.
Oh,
She does,
cool.
yeah. But it's actually it's a Botany Bay, like it launching, but it's never been like in canon. It's on like I think it's on a book jacket for one of the novels. Anyways.
That's a deep dive.
Yeah.
I know we have another caller, so I'm fine to move on.
I was going to ask
stuff,
you if there.
Go
What are any other thoughts about tonight's episode?
a little bit about Giorgio being like, I don't know, maybe it's like hurt people hurt. I mean, they were saying she wants to go out in a blaze of glory. It's just the throwing of the soup. She was just too sassy for me.
She's very Klingon, isn't she? Like Terrans are super Klingon, and especially in terms of like death. Like that's a note that I made. It's just like must die like a good a death that matters and like honor. And I was like, Terrans are Klingons, man.
Yeah, I like that he was like, the more the better. She'll go out in a blaze and glory, and the more the better. That was fun to me, but she's just, I didn't like the soup at all. That really bothered me. And she's just had snappy comebacks. And I love Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, I do too. And I just wonder, like, were we getting, and well, to me, I think that we were making Giorgio two-dimensional, where it's just always snappy comeback, always fight scene. And I hope that what we're getting here is the setup to give her a bit more dimension, give her some redemption, and then move on. So it's not just the same thing week after week, for however much longer, wherever we see her again.
But I mean, you don't think that commentary on her, you don't think it's because she's like scared?
I do,
Maybe.
but I mean, but she's been so resistant to everything. She had no reason to be scared in the Mirror Universe because she held all the power. She could kill anybody.
No, but I'm talking about her being in Prime and starting to like lose her ability to even pick up a glass of wine, which quite frankly is tragic.
Absolutely, absolutely it is. Yeah.
I think she's scared. Like you even said in the recap that like she's acting out because she's scared. I do agree with you that it's getting. I mean, I even made a note that was like Giorgio is so mean to Tilly. Why? Like it does feel a little bit unnecessary, but I think that's part of what they're trying to say about her current situation is that she's scared.
Well, look, there's a long, proud history of throwing soup in Star Trek. That's canon. Never forget. Never forget.
Amok
So,
time.
yes. Hey, Dom, thank you so much. Nice to see you. Appreciate all the comments on the episodes and our Facebook. Keep them coming. All right.
Thank you.
Here again. All right.
Right on. Cheers.
Cool. Cheers. Take care now. All right. And wrapping up tonight's show, we are happy to welcome back John Arminio.
From the Red Room.
From the
Hey.
Red Room. Hey, how's it going tonight?
Well, Mr. Champion, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. And how are you doing, Holly?
I'm having a blast with all of
Awesome.
these references.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what is on your mind tonight?
The more we spend in the mirror universe, the more it frustrates me because it's clear that this society could not even achieve a warp technology or space flight or any sort of industrialized technology.
I
Because
think
they would have
about
all
that
killed
too.
each other. Yes.
I think about that too, especially watching In a Mirror Darkly and then having Cochrane shoot the first contact Vulcans.
Yeah.
I was like, how would they have even come down to talk to us? I don't think they would. I feel the same way about our species now. If there's aliens, they're no, they're not ready.
We'll sit this one out.
At least Klingons, they love poetry, they love, drinking and song, and they love to laugh. But Terrans are just so one note, and we're getting depth from Georgiou in the fact that she's sublimating her insecurities and insults, but that's it, and that's only because she's been in the Prime universe.
You know what I think the issue is, and I feel like the original Mirror Mirror episode was an allegory,
Yeah.
as a lot of Roddenberry's stuff was, and I mean a lot of Star Trek is still allegories, but Mirror Mirror aired when he was still in control of things. I think taking an allegory like that and expanding on it could be problematic. And that's what we're seeing now is it's just this was supposed to be a short statement on societies that are like that. I mean, Nazi Germany and stuff like that. I don't know why I'm saying it quiet as if it's a bad word. But I think that taking that allegory and expanding on it as much as the universe has, In a Mirror Darkly and stuff like that is it's starting to get a little bit tiresome because that's all that they do.
Yeah. And I think the scene that I really liked in this episode was Admiral Vance telling Saru, no, you need to go save your crewmate. Because I think, Oded Fair, he's been killing it in every scene he's in because he really has to walk the line of being, a hard ass, but also not being a badmiral. We see that he has empathy for the Discovery and for the people who are, 900 years in the Discovery's future, the Federation that's left, and the burden that's on his shoulders. And so I think that scene, as short as it is so effective in showing what real leadership can do and what it could look like, and how dysfunctional and abhorrent the Mirror Universe's version of leadership is. And if we had more time in this episode with Vance, I think that contrast could have been maybe better elucidated, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it was a cool scene with Vance and Saru because as we talked about before on this show, Saru's arc becoming a leader and becoming a captain, he really has this different vibe from other Starfleet captains that we've met. And it's nice to see him learn something that wasn't, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a failing. It was just a realization. It was a different perspective that needed to be handed to him by somebody who had been around a little longer, been in this leadership position a little bit longer. And it was cool. It was just it was the right moment for an episode like this and for Saru in particular. I'm going to go back to something that you both were saying about the Mirror Universe. And I feel like it definitely speaks to, what I was talking about earlier, where you take a writer and you say, here, go write Star Trek. And then you have this massive universe, but what am I going to fixate on to make my episode about? Well, if it's the Mirror Universe, I feel like there's not enough there. Whereas Star Trek has done very well with developing some other cultures over time. You know, we talk about
Yeah.
Klingons being very one note for a long time, but go into later Next Gen, go into DS9, we're really seeing a lot more complexity, many more facets to their personality. Cardassians, I feel like from the beginning, they just decided we're going to have this very complex social structure, this very complex government, and that made them very believable right from the beginning because it wasn't all just one thing, like they all kill each other, which is really all that we get about the Terrans.
Right.
Even in this episode, is they all kill each other, which then goes back to your thing, John. How in the hell could they have survived beyond, you know, stone knives and bear skins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I could just, plug a version of Star Trek that does this really well, the comic series Star Trek Year 5 has been expanding on the Tholians in a really interesting and beautiful way in showing how they can be really barbaric and cruel and closed-minded, but how like empathetic and close interaction with humans and other species, they can learn to understand each other, and you get this different perspective on a species that's so alien to humans, and it's really, really fascinating. And just the way they talk to each other, the way they're able to find a way to communicate, and it just shows how much you can get from like expanding on different species and different elements of the original Trek. And I feel like, just going to the mirror universe to kill each other because it's fun to see them in different uniforms is like, yeah, like we've said, it's not bad, but I just feel like Discovery could be giving us so much more.
Yeah. Well said, John. Really appreciate it. Thank you for calling in, as always, and we'll do this again, okay?
Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night.
Thank you.
With that said, and thank you, Holly. And Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry, technical production on Mission Log Live by the Inviolate Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. If you'd like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog, accessories by cufflinksinc.com. Thanks to everyone who joined us live or later. Stay safe, stay healthy. We look forward to talking with you next week.